Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109, and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 433rd edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. On this edition, Minimal California Part 2. A fun night adjacent to the happiest place on Earth, but work to do on the final day of the adventure. A scouted ride to Orange County Airport seemed easy, then challenging, then maybe easy again, but there's been a particular and peculiar lack of drama in this podcast that tends to have, say, an unnecessary drama amount in the trips that you hear. I wonder, could we find some at the end? Good morning from Anaheim, California. I am at my hotel. I had a fantastic evening, really enjoyed it, and I am now currently packing up and getting things ready, and I'm going to enjoy that because I have a very relaxed day, made a little bit less relaxing by I've been promoting Alaska Airlines, uncompensated, of course. Now I'm going to throw it under the bus. My God, they suck at their technology. Apparently the entire system is down in some way, shape, or form, and all of the airports are bananas right now because nobody has proper reservations. Ordinarily, I'd be like, okay, whatever, no big deal. Except my problem right now is I actually have a bike that needs to get on a plane, and that means I'll probably end up having to stand in line. So as a result, I am going to leave much earlier than I would have normally. I would have probably left in about an hour or so, and even that probably would have been more time than I would have needed. However, this morning, I'm going to leave, as noted, about an hour earlier, just so that I can get to the airport, feel confident that there's nothing that's going to be a problem. I really don't anticipate that there will be, but boy, you just never know. You just never know. And so as a result, this is me feeling a little more rushed than normal. I also, before this technical outage, I also changed my flight earlier because, and I can't even remember if I mentioned this yesterday or not. I don't think I did. I just want to get home a little bit earlier. Rather than landing after 8 o'clock, now I'll be landing closer to 5:30, assuming all of this ends up working out just fine. And that will, I think, be a much better situation for myself. So that's where we're at the moment, making sure that I've got all of my stuff so that I don't, say, leave a credit card behind. That would be neat. As mentioned, I believe on the last episode, I cannot find my credit card, and the most likely spot is I left it like a doofus in the sleeve. Sign for you give the card, it comes back, you sign, and then you should take the card back with you, but I think I might not have. And in an ordinary situation, if I was driving or whatever, Oceanside it would be wildly inconvenient, don't get me wrong, to have to go all the way back to Oceanside by vehicle. But in this current scenario, where it's an hour-long train ride, I'm just going to cancel the card. When all is said and done, I think that is the smarter, more relevant thing to choose to do. And I think I'm at peace with that, even though it will be a hassle for me. Stuff that happens on bike tours and bike adventures from time to time. You lose stuff and that has consequences. I don't think that it's going to be a massive consequence to me. It's fine. I'll be all right. I am nearly fully packed up. Another wonderful thing about this kind of more minimalist situation is just how fast it is to pull all of my stuff together. And I really have to say that's a fantastic element to this entire trip. and something I'm going to continue to do. One other thing that I would say is that the weight savings that one gets, I think I mentioned this on a prior week. You expect with this much less volume that you're going to have a proportional amount less of weight. And I'm not sure that's the case. I brought a heavy toiletry kit thinking, oh, I can bring some extra things because I'm not carrying a lot of stuff. And then I last minute brought my computer, as I believe I mentioned, because I do need it for filing a tax thing that is only on this computer, and it's very specific and annoying. But I ended up having to bring the computer when I really didn't want to. And of course, as it rained all yesterday, all I could think about was just like how screwed I was going to be. But in the end, it ended up working out okay, and all was good and right in the world. But it's heavy, and noticeably heavy. I will say I was worried yesterday about the possibility that the weight would be too high. At the end of the day, I don't think I really noticed that all that much. But I will say that I am now, I think, even more interested in finding weight savings for gear for future adventures, because I really do think that it makes a difference. It made for a much easier ride, I think, yesterday than my fitness alone really would have explained. I ended up conking out a little bit by, mile 27 or so, and decided to do the fast forward. That was more, I was fatigued, but that was more of an issue of timing and just comfort level with making sure that I got here at the right hour and all that other kind of stuff. And so I think that I don't want to over or understate how that all went down. But at the end of the day, I think that this is all going to be a good lesson and a good takeaway for the future. Fast forward to the next episode when we do takeaways on this, because I think that's going to truly dominate. And I'll probably be speaking more to that then. The other good thing is my phone dried out. I don't know if you can tell, I am on the slightly better microphone than what I was using for other stuff. And I do think that matters. It's certainly better for the podcast, but I also am glad because you just never know with phones. They can sometimes do wacky things. And it being in the rain for 3 or 3.5 consecutive hours was not a good thing for it. But at the end of the day, I think it did just fine. Newer phones, compared to when I first started doing this, you really had to protect the phone. You had to make sure that it was in some kind of a plastic thing. Like I would never have had it be out on in my, the cockpit thing here. And I've got a MagSafe thing. It actually is really nice now. It's the same one that I have for the Brom. And I just kept it on there and it was fine. But it got to the point where enough of water got, I think, in between the wired microphone and the phone itself. And it was like unhappy with that, displeased with me, and probably for good reason. So yes, all it needed was a night off, basically. A night at Disneyland, just like me. That's all I needed. Briefly on that, I actually did have a really fun time. I was able to get into the Tiki Bar. If you're familiar with Trader Sam's, that is one of my favorite things to do when I'm at a Disney property. It's cheesy, it's weird. I'm not sure if Tiki Bars are a culturally appropriate thing, but I've always enjoyed them for whatever reason. I don't understand why. I've always enjoyed them. And so as a result, I did that. It was fun. And I did some other things as well. I didn't go to the parks. I was too tired. I may come back and do the parks for something else. It may not be bike related and almost assuredly wouldn't make the pod. However, I enjoy myself some Disneyland, and I am looking forward to coming back at some other point. But it was perfect for my needs for last night because it just was. All right. In that time that I've been talking to you, I was able to pack up everything. I do need to make sure that I get my mirror back on here, yes. I did not lose my mirror. I lost my credit card, but not my mirror, which is good because today, this ride is going to be very mirror-centric. I am going to 1,000% need it for a couple of critical parts, particularly on the approach to the airport. We're going to do, not unlike past winter rides where it was the approach into Disney World, we're going to do this to the approach to SNA, the Orange County Airport, because I think that it is going to be interesting. And by interesting, possibly not dangerous, but like dangerous adjacent? No, that's probably wrong. That's probably not it. It's more challenging, and it's more a place where I think most people's comfort levels would be really low. For me, it's low. I will say that. Only because just the way that it's set up, I think, is so focused on the car. There is no bike infrastructure, and it looks like it is faster than it is, which means that the cars will probably go faster than the speed limit. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour. That should be perfectly safe as a cyclist to be able to maneuver. But when it looks like a highway, and for many of them, they'll be coming right off of I-5 or I-405. I can't remember what freeway is right there. But the point being is that they're going to be velocitized drivers. Some of them might be in a rush, etc. I am going to be very cautious as I do this ride because my spidey sense goes off just a little bit on it. And so I'll just be extra careful. I'm going to be utilizing, rather than taking the lane early, I'm going to be going on opposite sides of the street. I'm going to be utilizing signals where appropriate. I'm going to be utilizing zones that are hashed off to be able to stop and assess and wait for breaks in traffic. There's just a couple of spots where I just think I'll be much more comfortable doing that. And of course, you'll be hearing about that in the next few minutes. Glorious, beautiful blue sky today. So sadly, my gray overcast day has gone away, but that's fine. I think I'm going to enjoy this. I hope you do too, because we're about to go off on the ride. Much more to come. Oh, about a mile in for a pretty short day. I am going along Manchester Avenue, right along I-5. So this is an I-5 service road, which I'm sure you're picking up right now. I'm on a sidewalk. I could be in the lane, but in Anaheim and Orange County, the sidewalks are usually pretty good, and because, sorry for the noise here, we're underneath the highway right now. There we go, that should be a little bit better. The sidewalks, there just aren't a lot of pedestrians, and so I tend to utilize them where it feels safer. There's not a lot of in and out here. What's crazy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 5-lane service road, and there isn't a single vehicle on it. Okay, one vehicle. It's just wild how car-centric Southern California is. And the nice thing is that they have done a good job, and I'm grading on a curve here, to build some bike infrastructure that is parallel with a lot of this. But of course, you are riding amongst vehicles, and that just carries its own situation with it. But overall, I've always really enjoyed riding in Southern California, and will probably be doing much more of it now that I'm on the West Coast. So expect to hear more pods where you hear a lot of traffic alongside, at least for these times of years when it's just so favorable to be here. And I'm making a turn on a busy road here. Insert surprise emoji. So we'll utilize the crosswalks for this. And I'll try to get oriented on the right side of the road. Unlike earlier, this ended up working out for me in terms of timing. I didn't have to wait terribly long. And I made it quickly enough to hopefully make this one as well. And I'll be getting to the Santa Ana River Trail in a couple minutes, which will be much better. The river trails here in Southern California are quite good. If you've listened to any of my past Southern California rides, you've been on this one relatively recently too. This took me, I think I rode it all the way down to the ocean last time. I won't be going nearly that far this time. But the airport is about halfway to Newport Beach, if memory serves. So it's halfway to the ocean. But yeah, it's a great thoroughfare. It's not the most picturesque thing in the world, I'll be honest, because it's a giant, I wouldn't call it a sewer, but it's certainly a water conveyance of urban runoff. That's what all the rivers are in this part of the world. They're very controlled water management systems rather than being terribly natural, with some exceptions, but yeah, it's a very interesting place. I just went underneath the I-5 sign, like it was like a slalom gate. The Olympics are on right now, so I've got that in mind. And crossing under a much quieter I-5. But yeah, things are going pretty well so far. And just making sure as I utilize these sidewalks at cross points, when I have the light in my favor, you got to be careful. You don't want to get right hooked. That's kind of part of the deal when you're in urban environments. Your attention goes more towards other people than yourself, which I think this is a theme of a lot of these rides. That this is not the kind of riding for a lot of you, to which I completely understand. For me, it's a lot of, I get to go to cool places or places I want to go to because I'm comfortable riding in urban environments. And that ends up being pretty good. I am under a mile to the Santa Ana River Trail, so I will bid you adieu for a moment. But yeah, things are moving quite well so far. Nice, beautiful morning, just cool enough. The sun's pretty strong. I'm glad I put on some sunscreen. I am pretty covered up. Of course, all in black, so I'll probably be roasting by the end of all of this, but life is what it is. More to come. And as promised, on the Santa Ana River Trail, going south towards the water, catching I never get this right. Is it an onshore breeze or an offshore breeze? Is it where is it blowing or where is it blowing from? I always get it wrong. It is blowing from the ocean. And still a delightful temperature today. Great escape from the freezing temperatures that I've been subjected to while on the East Coast. It's been a worse winter than a while. Now, last year I was in New York for most of it, and of course that would be as expected, but a lot of single-digit lows while I've been on the East Coast, and that's just less fun for me, but fine. I'd rather have a very cold, frigid winter than a roasting hot summer, which is one of when people ask me why did I move to Seattle, one of the things that I say is I can't take another DC summer, and that is true. There were a lot of reasons why I moved to Seattle, but that is certainly one of them, and the one that's easiest to share with everyone. See some folks out walking their dogs. There's a double path situation here where, and it might be merging in a moment, but there was more of a kind of gravel, crushed limestone one that a lot of the pedestrians and runners were using, and now it's merged into the paved one that I was on. Someone running in a Rage Against the Machine shirt, reminiscent of, what was that album called? The Battle for Los Angeles or something like that. Feels appropriate. Also, feels appropriate. Say no more. I'm hoping my dead cat is keeping the audio reasonable. I'm noticing it's pushed away from my face because of the headwinds here. Yesterday, it was comical. The dead cat, and if you don't know what that is, it's a cover on a microphone that defeats wind noise very effectively. In the rain, it looked like a wet cat. So it was a wet dead cat yesterday, and it was funny. I should have taken a picture of it. It was that funny. Okay, a little bit of nice little rolls that happen here along the river. And unlike last time, there was a big storm. And now, I'm now remembering it quite well. There was a ton of water in this. And now we've had a very different winter here on the West Coast. Very mild, very little precipitation, except of course yesterday. And it is bone dry. There's a little bit of runoff, but what a difference from last year or the year before. I can't remember specifically at the moment, but boy, it is a very different look. It was not last year, because last year was I had a lot of things going on, most of which did not involve cycling in this area. So yeah, it's a very different pattern that we're in right now, but still a delightful path. Maybe again, even more suboptimal views. Picture a really wide, dry riverbed, but like clearly man-made, like a canal. That's what the vibes are here on the Santa Ana River. All right, we got some mileage to make on this to pull us south. Just about at the halfway point. I've got a little over 8 miles. I'm sorry, a little under 9 miles. So yeah, maybe a little bit shy of the halfway point. But under an hour of riding time to go, which is perfect. That gets me to the airport maybe around noon for a 3 p.m. flight. Plenty of time to break the thing down and stand in line if necessary for a long time. Folks were talking about being there 2.5 hours in advance and missing their flight because of these tech issues, or nearly missing their flight. And of course, I would not care for that. The good news is there are plenty of flights from Santa Ana Airport to Seattle, direct flights on this airline. So I don't think I'm in too rough of a shape, but I would prefer to get there early. I had changed my plans to make it happen. But yeah, getting the bike in and checked and on the way is, of course, an important thing. Very much enjoying the ride. I have to say, I ducked out of the sun here. I have not been exposed to a lot of sun like this in a while, so yeah, it's tough. Gazing off at the mountains, I think those are the San Gabriel Mountains. They're really tall. They're like not Mount Rainier tall, but they're pretty cold. They're up there, and they are snow-capped, so at least they are getting some snow at the higher elevations here. I know we've been struggling with that in the Northwest, and hopefully that's going to be changing soon, because we need that for the summers, and we need that for water supplies and all sorts of other things. You would think that a place like Seattle and greater Pacific Northwest, where rain is common, that water issues would not be an issue for us, but it can be when the patterns have been like this, and the ebb and flow of the seasonal cycles. Getting snow in the mountains is an important thing for making sure everything doesn't suck for the rest of the year. We are all hoping for that. And the skiers, my God, the skiers, you have suffered a lot all throughout the U.S., I understand. I'm not much of a skier myself, but yeah, it's been a weird winter. It's been frigid cold on the east and crazy warm and really nice on the west coast. But again, we will pay for that later. All right, once again, it's a weather podcast that occasionally mixes in biking, so let me mix in the biking. As mentioned, not a ton of riding to go. There was a weird spot where they were doing some work on a bridge, and I thought that the trail was closed. Luckily, it was easy to get around, so that worked out pretty well. Recognizing all of this was a couple of years ago when I last rode this, and just, again, the difference in the water level is very notable. The difference in the amount of snow in the mountains, very notable. It was just a very different winter that year. I think it was maybe it was in March. I think it was a little later in the season, and it was cold. I remember it was very cold. It was, I think, in the 30s to start the day, and I was all bundled up and everything. I wouldn't have minded a little bit cooler weather, but who knows? Who knows how well this is going to go for the last 8.8 miles. I think it's going to be pretty easy riding up until, like I said, the very end, and then I'll just turn on the mic and you'll get to hear how this all goes. I've scoped it out on Google Earth, Google Maps, Street View, and that is super helpful for just kind of figuring out what is the best way to do it, and I think I've got a good sense of it. It'll obviously be my first time doing it, unlike some of the other little crazy adventures like the entrance to Disney World property, like I've taken you on so many different times. This is much more compact, and at the same time, also because it's the first time, it's always a little bit question marky, for lack of a better word. Okay, I'm going to pack up. I'm going to have some more water. I did not get breakfast this morning because I decided, let's get to the airport. I did have that cereal. I had one cereal bar left, so I have put about 100 calories into me. And for 15 miles, that should be fine, but I'm sure I will be ready to eat when I get to the airport, and hopefully they've got at least something decent there. We shall see. All right, much more to come as we continue down the Santa Ana River Trail. From Santa Ana, California, we are on roads with infrastructure, which is good. And I've got about a little over a half hour, maybe 45 minutes worth of riding, depending on how all these things go. If I do take a break, there is a part of me that is considering looking to see if Orange County Transit has a bus that would drop me off in a safe spot. That might be worth considering as an alternative to all of this. I just realized I have a green light and was stopped in the bike lane like an idiot. Yeah, it's a possibility to consider. It might not be the fastest way, but it would be the safest way if there is a bus connection. I have to be honest, just the way the airport's set up, if there is bus service to it, I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped off at a remote parking lot or something like that. should the airport have such a thing. So, I don't know. I think I'm overthinking all of this. It's actually pretty quiet today, and the noise of the traffic notwithstanding, just feels we're on a Thursday. This isn't that big of a deal. And as long as I don't get aggressive and I play it super safe, it shouldn't be a problem at all. And I really would like to ride up to the airport to complete that task, which was to do it on both ends here. Obviously I did it in San Diego, as you heard, and to do it here in Santa Ana would be cool as well. So that's what I hope for, but I'm also open to an alternate if it's easy. I will, of course, be taking, actually, this is an open question. In the preview episode, if I remember the preview episode, I had thought about taking an Uber or Lyft back from Seattle's airport to my apartment, and that will be expensive. And I don't feel like expensive. So I think that just given the ease of the assembly and disassembly of the bike so far, assuming I get the bike in a reasonable way, I think what I'll do is I'll consider taking it into the Link the Light Rail and having that transport me. So not quite the same as what I've been doing, but certainly a lot less expensive than the alternative. But we'll see how I feel. I'm only riding about 15 miles. Actually, it's a little bit more than that today. What would be a very minimal extra bit of riding. It's actually an all downhill. In fact, I'm not even sure if I would ride my bike down to my apartment because the hills in that part of the city are fairly steep. So I might not take that bait, especially because, although I don't think it's raining today. I don't know, we'll have to see. You'll get to join me on that. That'll be later in this episode, I suspect, whatever I end up deciding. But for the moment, the weather, the Southern California weather is, as usual, except for yesterday, pretty stellar. It's expensive to live in California, but it's expensive for a reason. It's hard to say no to weather like this if you enjoy it. I would get sick of the sun. I have to be perfectly honest. I think the weather would be too nice for me. But I also understand why everybody is so freaking fit in Southern California. There's no excuse to not get outside and move. That is for darn sure. As opposed to where I've lived in recent years, where it's just been like there's a certain point of time where you don't get out and move and your fitness suffers as a result. I'm hoping to erase that over the course of the next several years of my life with my new move. All right, I see an airplane in the sky that looks like it's on approach, which means I am getting closer and closer to my destination as well as those folks in the plane. All right, much more to come as we get closer to SNA Airport. All right, we are in MacArthur Boulevard, which is the final approach to SNA Airport. There did not appear to be an alternate option available, so we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna YOLO this. Like I said, I've taken a look at this before. What I am seeing now, however, is a potential issue with my access on this side of the road. It does appear to be a little broken, but we're gonna go for it anyways. The sidewalk does appear to be incomplete, and it says it's closed, but closed is a matter of opinion. Closed is a state of mind. Also, this is just a much better situation. I'm on the opposite side of the road than would be going with traffic. There's a sidewalk that will take me all the way to the light that is the entrance to the airport, which just makes for a better approach. If I'm on the proper side, A, it's pretty trafficy, so much for my quiet day. B, I know based on my Google Maps look-see that the whole setup is no lane would have to take the lane, and it is just busy. I'm right at the exit ramp to I-405. So the freeway is busy, it's got a lot of cars. Yeah, I just think this is the better bet. I assume that I'll be able to get around all of the gates and barriers and stuff. I think that it's more for show than anything else at this point. They are obviously working on it, but not at the moment. So I'm not going to be disrupting anything. We'll just do this. I think it's the safest bet. Where are we on time? We're 5 minutes before noon. So that's great. And yeah, there's a left arrow that is the last preventative for me crossing. I should have my walk signal in a moment. Will the cars let me go on the other side? We'll see. We'll see. There's one vehicle here, and they were cool with me, and we have made it. Okay, cool. Now, let's see, can I cross this, or am I completely cut off? Because if I'm cut off, then I have to reverse track and go all the way around. There is a barrier, but it does not look like I'm fully blocked. So this actually ended up being even better. Yeah, they're doing road work here, not sidewalk work, but they're closing the sidewalk because of the road work. So we are going over what I presume is I-405 right now, and I can see the airport very easily. So yeah, this ended up being the right call. And here, as we get to the final approach, I see the traffic light that will give me the safest approach. And I can just glide down the hill here, the overpass hill. To that, I believe I've got to cross one more exit ramp, but I do have walk lights to protect me. Yeah, I'm just going to take this nice and slow, nice and easy. Here's that they're redoing the interchange here, possibly to improve access to the airport. It is the John Wayne Orange County Airport here in Santa Ana. I think it's Santa Ana, California. And let's see, as we glide down here, I know I've got a crosswalk. There it is. It's not super well marked, unfortunately. But it is there. Oh, there's signs. There's big ass signs. So I just got to wait for my proper opening. And I think I've got it right after this vehicle. Here, go, and go. Sweet. Now the light appears to be covered up. Oh, nope, there is an alternate, a temporary one. I don't know if it's doing anything, but I hit it. Oh wait, actually this is my spot. What am I talking about? I'm going to wait a cycle because it's green in the direction. Will I get any better? I may just go, whoop, nope. I'm just going to position right now. Okay, so I have a red. Paint the picture. MacArthur Boulevard is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-lane road on one side, presumably 5 on the other. It's a 10-lane strode. And the entrance to the airport, I have to cross it. I will have a green light. I am way up, so I won't get right hooked by anybody trying to go right. Most people are trying to go straight, presumably, but I'll be able to get across at least this first lane pretty quickly and easily. My goal is to just get across this entire road, and there is a hashed area right at the threshold of the entrance there. So I can stop there, wait for traffic to clear, and then proceed. Then I got to cross a couple of lanes. It's interesting, for all of the really horrifically thick traffic that's here on MacArthur, there's not a ton of cars going in there. And because they have to make a real hairpin turn, they are not going fast. So yeah, maybe ChatGPT was about right on all of this. It's not too terrible. And I'm obviously quite visible. I think I'm going to spend some time getting the sweat out of my eyes because head on a swivel. You know how it is. And let's see, checking to make sure I'm recording. I am good, because I wouldn't want to repeat all of that. Yeah, just a wall of traffic. Oh man, the things we do. But like I said, I'm very visible right now, and I feel pretty good. Okay, I got a green. I'm now I'm pretty safe right now. As long as these people turning right don't make silly choices, like riding a bike in an airport. All right, I'm in the safe spot. And it's a really large safe spot here. So yeah, this is easy now. I just need to get over and take the lane when it makes sense, and I'll wait for quite a bit of time here. There is oncoming from a different area as well. This is great though. Oh, I have a huge opening. Yeah, this is going to be a piece of cake. As soon as this car goes by me, now I have other cars. Okay, I do have another safe spot going over a 25 mile per hour into a 20 mile per hour space. I'm in good shape here. All right. From this point on, it's actually a piece of cake, and I've got no cars. Yeah, this was easy. This was quite easy. I'm now in a very low traffic 20 mile per hour curve, and in about 4 seconds I'll be on a sidewalk. So yeah, I stressed out about that way too much. Man, I thought that was going to take a long time, but no. And I even cut through some bollards just to get over to a truly safe spot now. So we're in great shape. Just spooked some pigeons. I don't think that they were expecting me. Yeah, this is the terminal pickup area. This is the departures level. And I'm slaloming here through some bollards. Yeah, not bad. And we're in the tow-away zone where a lot of people are literally parked, which is funny. Yeah, this is fantastic. In fact, I can probably ride all the way up to my Alaska gates, or where Alaska's check-in is now. This is pickup / departures. So this may be the wrong level. In fact, I'm sure it is because I'm on ground level. I would like to be at the ticketing level for putting this together. Let's see, I'm not 100% sure where Alaska is, this airport. I'm at the junction between Terminal A and Terminal B, so I guess we're going to figure this out. Ah, Alaska. Right here at Terminal B. So I think what I'm going to do is we are going to end this discussion here, and I will check in with you again when I am figuring out where to put my bike together. All right, we are quick elevator ride up to the departures level, and I am outside of the Alaska check-in station, and so I am putting my bike together again. Or, I'm sorry, disassembling my bike. I only rode 15 miles. That was heavy bike touring brain. Okay, so the best way to do this, I've determined, is to take the handlebar off first, but actually even before that, unhook the front brakes. That makes later steps all the much easier. And it's as simple as there's 4 hex screws here that basically allow me to drop the handlebar, and it's still connected to all of the cables and whatnot, and I've always thought that was going to end up creating problems later. It never has. The steel cabling works out really well for all of this. So yeah, this ends up being a pretty quick process. And then the only other thing is to take off the front wheel, and then the whole thing goes in. Yeah, this is not terrible. One thing I have to make sure is to take everything off, including my water bottle, and just get everything ready to put in. Yeah, this is awkward at the last point, because with 2 people, getting this into a bag is super easy. With 1 person, it's awkward. The other thing that I tend to do is I tend to drop these when I unscrew them completely. When I say these and the screws. Bolts. Are they bolts? I don't know. I just want to make sure they're all sufficiently ready for hand loosening. They are. The other thing, then I can put this hex wrench away, is to get the seat post out. Before, I was able to get, I also have to take the the hardest part is getting the pedals off. So I may do that next. All right. I have removed the saddle. I found that it was much easier to get in and out. All right. Now, I don't have a proper pedal wrench. I use a cheap crescent wrench, and sometimes this is easier said than done. I did not do much in the way of hand tightening. Let's see here. Let's just get this into an easier place, and hopefully, always a challenge because I can never remember which way it goes. I think that the answer is it always rotates backwards. Yeah, the answer is you always go backwards towards the rear of your bike. That's the magic trick. Let's see, I've already seen that my handlebars have lost one screw, so I need to get that set aside. And I think I'll take off the wheel while it's in this position. I think that'll make life easier. Had one gentleman come up to me while I was off mic, and he's like, "That is badass." And I was like, "Thank you." I'm not sure it's that badass, but it is fun. All right. Getting the wheel off makes it the most unstable at this point, but we'll get it together again. So you have to take out the front skewer as well so that it doesn't poke around. It still pokes around a little bit, but it's much less with the skewer out. So that goes into a bag with the pedals and a wrench, and that'll end up in the bag. Lots of tools end up in the bag. Okay, I think what we're going to do, I always do this a little out of order, and I think that today is no exception. Getting the handlebars fixed now is the next best thing, and then into the bag. Scintillating radio, I'm sure, for you, but I thought a helpful understanding of how much time this kind of takes. It took me maybe an extra 2 or 3 minutes when we were offline so that I didn't swear at you. Pedals are always the hardest because I never justify bringing a proper pedal wrench with me because pedal wrenches are usually like really large, and I've historically had an okay time with the cheap crescent wrench, hence my choices. Okay, I now have I don't know what you would call this thing, the thing that keeps the handlebar on. I put that into a separate Ziploc bag with the 4 bolts, and that goes into a very special spot in the bag that is in the frame bag, just so that it's all right there. Now I can untangle and weave this thing out so that it hangs down, and now it's ready to go in the bag, which is always the hardest part, because it's which side do you put in first, the fork side or the rear wheel side? And the answer is neither. Both. I think usually I end up putting in the fork side first, just because it is the funkiest to deal with. I hope I have it on the right side of the bag. I think I do. I really should orient this thing in a way that makes sense. Oh, we have a problem. One of the zippers is broken. Oh boy. I thought I saw something. Is the other zipper working? It is. Okay. This may be the final voyage of this particular bag, or close to it, because I think TSA may have broken it when they took a look at my thing. When I took it off the baggage claim, I noticed that my handlebar was peeking out of it. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I thought, just laziness. No, they actually broke the zipper. Now I know what's on the right side, because that was the side that it was poking out of. Okay. Good to know. The trick with this now is everything loves to catch on the bag. And it makes you think, oh no, it doesn't fit. Even though it's fit many, many times. But it is a game of inches, to be honest. Or centimeters. For my metric friends. There we go. Yeah, loves to catch. But when you get to the point where it's just all fits, then you're victory. And I think we're at that point. So I am going to not torture you anymore with the final assembly of this, because it's really at this point just sticking some extra things in the bag, including the tools and the saddle and a few other things. And then I just meander down to my friends at the check-in gate, and then we let them take it from here. I don't have any cardboard protecting this time. This is going to be the least protected this bike will have ever been. But I just think that over time I've become less and less worried about the protection on these things. These bikes are built to take a lot. Yes, something could happen, but at the same time, I'm not sure if a piece of cardboard would be the difference between this thing making it and not making it when all is said and done. Yeah. Anyways, that's about it. We'll check in again one more time before we go through security. So we have drama. I'm going to step out to speak of said drama. Two things. One, my flight is an hour and a half late, making my early arrival less early, which is fine. That's normal. What is not fine? The zipper on this bag is not just broken on one of them, it's broken on both of them. And so I basically am going to be sending this bike through largely open. It will not come back up. I went through TSA. TSA was like, oh, it's going to be open. And I'm like, I have no choice. It's possible I could lose multiple things off of this bike. Like, this could be bad. This could be horrific. But I don't have a choice, really. I sat there going, what could I do? Lock the bike somewhere here at the airport and fly back and get it? No. It's just really interesting that, that the weakest point on this entire bag was the zipper, and it's now a problem. I thought about finding one of those places that could wrap it, but I don't think that would work. Those are mostly international airports that'll have stuff like that, and it's usually airside where you can get that, not on this side. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out. We're going to have to see. I may have most of a bike come through or part of a bike come through. It's all going to depend on how the handlers handle this. And yeah, I'm not super optimistic here. So what comes out in Seattle is going to be, your guess is as good as mine, which is a bummer. But here's the other thing. Obviously, most of the bike is going to make it through somehow. I might be missing a couple of things. I don't have anything in there that's so important that it's irreplaceable. But I will say that if this bag comes off, things are going to get really crazy really quickly, and I just don't know how it's going to go. If this is largely handled by the handles, everything should be fine. But it's already split so that the zipper is busted, so it's like half open already. So it's already compromised. Let's see. I'm seeing another TSA. Oh, they are taping it up. They are taping it up. I walked away but I can still see it, and they are using tape to tape it together. Okay, I feel much better now. I didn't expect them to do that. I think that I've run into scenarios like this before, or I've seen other people, where TSA is like, no, we don't have tape, we don't have things like that. But what has just happened, based on this quick glimpse that I've seen, is they've inspected it. It's passed. It doesn't need to go through any additional screening, which means that they are now going to essentially tape the bag together like around the whole thing. It's going to be a mess. But man, the dog's body bag is getting its Viking funeral on this trip. How many times have I flown a bike with that? A dozen times more? Probably a lot more. It's got to be more than that. One of these days I'm going to figure out how many flights I've flown with a bike with that. It's been a lot. I will be replacing it because it has just been such a good thing. But to have the zipper fail, but it looks like the zipper failed in a way that could have been maybe repaired. Maybe I can repair it, but I don't know. I'm coming down from my freak out right now. I'm just going to peek to see if I can see if they're still taping my bag up or if they just did it and threw it on the thing. And it's not there anymore. And yeah, I think that they got a manager to help with it. Yeah, it's not even in the TSA screening area. Well, that's an annoying sound, so we're going to go back inside. Okay, we don't have to now. So, to sum it up, drama. It's still not perfect, but I do think that now, because a little bit of tape is going to be the difference between this bike making it and not making it with everything intact. So now all I have to worry about is the usual handling stuff, and I'm not as concerned about that. Okay, yeah. Whew. Deep breath. There you go. There's your podcast drama for you. But let's see what happens on the Seattle side. Now, all I have to do is find something to eat because I haven't eaten a damn thing. All right, more to come. I'm going to have to make an assumption that the world hates me, or the aviation gods are not smiling on me on this flight. Okay, I feel a little bit better about my bike. If TSA is feeling okay about it, then I've cleared a hurdle. They did some taping. It might work. It might not, but we'll see how it goes. My flight has been delayed again. The only thing that might make this a little bit better is that it still looks like there are a couple of open first class seats and I might get upgraded. So if we just add up the travel karma here, I got one really good thing. It was very easy to get into this airport. So I owe some karma back. My bike zipper broke. Okay. My flight got massively delayed. Okay, so is that the trade-off for the far easier than I thought entrance in here? Maybe. I feel like that's a little heavy, on the heavy side. So maybe I'm also going to get upgraded to first class. And yeah, and maybe there'll be like good food in the airport too. Maybe this will all just balance out. Oh, and maybe my bike will arrive in one piece. That's the other thing. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. All right. I am not going to talk to you anymore until we get to Seattle. So you will not have to wait as long as I have to wait to get resolution on what's happening with my bike. Let's all cross our fingers, and after the whoosh, you're going to know more than I do right now. All right, are you ready? Are you ready for the answer? The answer is I'm rolling my bike away. It made it. Big shouts to TSA in Orange County Airport for not one, not two, but 3 separate packing tape rotations in 3 spots around the bike bag. Everything made it. The bike seems to be in good shape. The only thing that might be messed up is something that needs to be replaced anyways, and that is my crank arms and my pedals. They may be stripped. I cannot, for the life of me, get the pedals back on. It just might be that I'm impatient, and because I don't need them for transporting this back, because I'm going to be walking it the whole way in every mode of transportation, I think I'm good. It took me about a half hour to get everything together because I really struggled with the pedals for a minute, but somehow all the karmic costs, debits, and credits all added up to a late night here, substantially later than I wanted to be, but everything intact, and guess what? The bike made it, and so did I, and so did you, and we had a fun time, and all the friends we made along the way, or whatever. So there will be many takeaways. There may be a new set of crank arms on this thing. Man, these are original. They really should be replaced anyways. I have a lot of work to do on this bike, but you know what? It's here. It's in Seattle. It's at its new home, as am I. And so, with that, we'll see you next time with the Takeaways episode. Statistics. Miles biked, 27. Zippers broken, 2. Yards of tape used by SNA TSA to seal the bike bag, 3. Futile attempts to repair the zipper in Seattle, 1. Flats, 0.
Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.